AITA. Am I the a-hole for not telling my boyfriend that I don't have a breast? I am honestly heartbroken right now. I am a breast cancer survivor. I have had my left breast removed, and there's just a scar there now. When I go out I wear a silicone padding on my left breast, otherwise it looks very odd and makes me self-conscious. My boyfriend and I have been in a long-distance relationship for the past 3 years. We had met a couple of times, but we just enjoyed each other's company. He knows I am a cancer survivor, but doesn't know about my breast. I decided to move in with him about a month ago, and we tried to have sex. I said tried because the moment he laid eyes on my breast his face went white, and he refused to touch me further. He said I had cheated him, and that I should have told him earlier about my breast. I told him that I didn't think it was important since he said he loves all of me, and that he thought I was beautiful. I am honestly so conflicted right now and I feel like a horrible person. AITA. Am I the a-hole for not telling my boyfriend that I don't have breast? Edit. Had a talk with him. He says he can't be with me anymore, he didn't know I was lacking a breast because I looked fine in my pictures. Thank you for your help everyone. Edit. To those who think this post is fake, would you like to see my scar? Please be more sensitive before making claims. Here's the thing, you're a cancer survivor and you value your privacy about losing your breast. But YTA. You're the a-hole when you have a 3-year long-distance relationship with someone, and don't share that one critical piece of information about who you are. You're planning on moving in with him, he's going to see you without your prosthesis for the first time, and you still don't tell him. Surprise. Yes, he said he loves all of you. But you didn't share all of you with him when he said that. You lied about who you really are, and are now upset because he caught you in your lie. I don't know if you can recover that relationship, but good luck to you if you try. I dated a guy with an undescended testicle. He never told me about it, and I didn't flip out about it. It was obviously something he was insecure about, so I wasn't upset that he didn't tell me. I was more worried that my shocked reaction would hurt his feelings, than being upset that he kept it from me. One day I asked several questions, and he told me that he had never told anyone nor did any of his past sexual partners say anything about it. The initial reaction isn't Ope's boyfriend's fault, but he is a jerk if he wants to end things over a breast injury. Do people normally disclose injury or surgery scars to people before sex? If you think this isn't about it being a breast on a woman, you are wrong. Even if she should have told him first to avoid surprising him, he wouldn't have ended the 3-year relationship if he wasn't shallow. I can't bring myself to say you're the a-hole. I certainly don't think you're an a-hole. But I do think you should have told him beforehand, probably long beforehand, because A. It would be a surprise for anyone and it doesn't do you any good to spring that surprise on him in the moment, and B. If he's an ass about it, wouldn't you rather know that sooner rather than later? I'm sorry things didn't go well for you. Difficult. It was clearly a shock for him, but also after 3 years? You should have told him. It surprises me more that you had been going out 3 years and hadn't had sex. Also that you moved in together before you had sex. Info. Is more upset over the fact that you hid this from him, or that you're missing one. Because I can understand feeling hurt that in a 3-year relationship my partner didn't trust me enough to tell me something personal, and has hid something for so long. Because not telling him was a conscious choice on your part. Shock can cause people to react differently than normal. If you had told him long ago, he would have had time to process and it wouldn't be as big a deal. But if he's just upset you only have one breast, he's an a-hole for that. I disagree. I see where you're coming from, and empathize with the viewpoint, but calling someone an asshole for physical preferences is a pretty slippery slope, and putting caring about amputations as the a-hole line is an arbitrary spot. I also had cancer pretty young. I didn't lose my breast, I lost my testicle. Granted, testicles aren't quite as sexually valued as breasts, but you don't know how much they're tied to your sense of self and confidence, until you lose one. Anyways, it took me a long time to get comfortable enough with myself to be intimate with somebody again, which may also explain the 3-year sexless relationship for OP, especially since she never cleared the air. But once I finally did, and found a girl I liked, who I thought this might go somewhere, I felt a duty to disclose for several reasons. A. Open and honest communication is the bedrock of any relationship. B. As much as it sucks to think of, you never know, especially back then, if the cancer would come back. I feel like it's fair for someone to decide they don't want to go through that with me and get a fair warning. C. If having one testicle was something that would make her really uncomfortable in bed, then I think it's best for both of us to avoid it. She doesn't need to force herself to have sex with me to not be an a-hole. I also don't need more psychological hang-ups about intimacy by having that kind of awful experience, or surprising someone and having them freak out. My one nut is a pretty stern physical reminder that says, I had cancer, it was horrific, and it may someday come back. That took me a while to process and be comfortable living with. I don't expect someone who hasn't gone through it to just automatically be comfortable with it, let alone while trying to get off. TLDR. Not being comfortable with someone's amputations does not make someone an a-hole, even if they're due to cancer. P.S. Stay strong OP. All of this gets better with time, and I guarantee you will find someone who won't even bat an eye when you tell them. But for your own sake, take the lesson from this experience and disclose up front. It'll save you the heartache next time. YTA. You're the a-hole. I don't understand how you believed this would work. Immediately before you initiate your long-delayed physical relationship, you drop the news about your mastectomy, and expect him not to have a reaction? You had 3 years to mention it. Why are you even moving in with somebody, when you haven't been intimate with and only met a few times? How was any of this supposed to work? No one else will say it, but I will. YTA. In my opinion, you just lied to this guy for the last 3 years. He knows that you had cancer and that you survived. That conversation would have been the perfect segue into, oh yeah, and I lost one of my breasts because of it. Instead of moving into together, and him finding out after 3 years that you aren't what you led him to believe you are. You should have told him a long time ago. ESH. Everybody sucks here. You should have told him. However, he knew you were a breast cancer survivor and should handle it with a bit more grace than that. Hopefully, you two can move past it, but I honestly don't see how. For me, that would be enough for me to peace out. Talk to him about it, see if y'all can work it out. If you can't, then leave. I am so conflicted about this. Why didn't you tell him before he moved in? You guys did long distance thing, and there must have been a tons of things you guys talk about. How did this never came up? And you waited till you guys were about to have sex? I mean, sheesh, I understand why, but sheesh. The whole situation sucks. I truly feel like he deserves to know, if anything, just to prevent incident like this. Congrats on beating cancer. You were fortunate than most. But I have to say, YTA. I agreed with him. If you would have just told him, he might has time to process and be okay with it, but to spring it up right before intercourse. Going against the flow here and say NTA. Not the a-hole. I don't think the majority of folks here have had cancer, and dealt with the shock and stigma of literally losing body parts. Yes, you should have told your boyfriend earlier. Yes, it can be hurtful when your SO keeps information like that from you. But, anyone with a sense of compassion would be understanding and patient. That's not what your boyfriend said though. He equated withholding medical history to cheating. WTF is that? He chose to degrade you, instead of trying to have a mature conversation expressing hurt and concern. OP. You dodged a bullet here. Please stay healthy and try to avoid toxic people like this one. I'm with you, surprised this is the first NTA I've seen. I'm also a cancer survivor, and while I have not had a breast removed, I do have a large scar on my side, partially under a breast. It makes that breast point differently, and that breast is also smaller. It's not that obvious when I'm wearing a shirt, but if I'm in a swimsuit you can definitely tell, and that's when questions usually come up. Otherwise, I never think to tell anyone about it. I would be so offended if my SO told me he feels cheated, because my breasts weren't what he assumed them to be. Sure, having one completely gone is different than my situation, but they were a long-distance couple, so I can totally understand why there may not have been an obvious opportunity to bring it up. I think if it were me, I probably would want to bring it up before 3 years passed, but I don't think it makes her an a-hole for not doing so. Unless you're in her shoes, it's hard to judge exactly if she was maliciously hiding something that he deserved to know, or if she really never thought it was super important to tell him right away, or that it really mattered, because honestly it really is a superficial thing. I am a cancer survivor amputee, and I think she's the a-hole. I understand hiding your amputation. I walk with a prosthetic leg and I hide/cover mine, but I'm upfront and honest about it early on, and definitely before the person meets me or as soon as the person meets me. So far 3 rejections in 2 years. There's stigma, it's true, and his reaction is understandable. She actively hid a crucial info from him for years. I really think this is an unfair assessment of this guy. He had a very human reaction to finding out something shocking about the person he cared about. That doesn't make him toxic. Look at it from his perspective. He trusted this person who he loves to tell him the truth. That's one of the cornerstones of any relationship. So when he found out she had been knowingly deceiving him for 3 years, he got upset. Suddenly he can't trust her, because she hid something from him until she absolutely had no other choice. He knows suddenly that she's both okay with and good at lying to him. It isn't just the fact that she doesn't have a breast, it's all the emotional pain that comes with that realization.